Hi everyone, my name's Haruka Sakaguchi and I'm recording here today from Brooklyn, New York. I'm a Japanese photographer whose work focuses on cultural identity and sense of place.
Hi, my name is Griselda and I'm recording from New York City. I'm a documentary photographer focused on immigration through an optic of identity and belonging.
We're here to share our project, Typecast. Typecast is a satirical portrait series addressing typecasting practices in the entertainment industry. We made stereotypical portraits of POC or people of color actors embodying stereotypical roles that they often get typecast in, and made alternative portraits of them embodying their ideal roles or roles that they would like to play. Why did we make this project? Lack of diversity is one of the most deep-rooted and oldest problems in the film industry. Did you know that while ethnic minorities make up nearly half of the US population, only 13.9% of leading roles are given to POC actors? Some of you may have heard about this lack of representation through movements like #MeToo and Oscars So White. But to this day, ethnic minorities are asked to play painfully stereotypical roles like maids, immigrants, thugs, and sex workers, and struggle to get cast in layered, complex, and authentic roles. So where did all the stereotyping come from? Racial stereotyping as a performance has its roots in minstrel shows in New York, where white actors blackened their faces in the 1830s. Many used burnt cork and shoe polish to blacken their faces, and they characterized black people as lazy, ignorant, superstitious, hypersexual, and prone to thievery and cowardice. By 1845, minstrel shows became a subculture and started to hit national television and radio airwaves with popular American actors like Judy Garland, Shirley Temple, and Mickey Rooney. Though blackface is now considered taboo, sorry Justin Trudeau, the codifying of blackness and other ethnic minorities still remains pretty prevalent in mainstream media. In Breakfast at Tiffany's, Mickey Rooney plays Mr. Yuni Oshi, a buck-toothed Japanese man with a broken English accent. The disproportionate number of black men playing criminals in films like The Wire and Training Day perpetuate stereotypes that all black men are dangerous and are deserving targets of police authorities. Films like The Help perpetuate this overplayed dynamic of a person of color helping a white protagonist reach a new stage in life, while their own lives remain static.
We started this project back in 2018. Haruka and I had met the previous year at a photography workshop and soon became good friends. I told Haruka about the Latino Short Film Festival. My short film was screening in a category with other women filmmakers, and at the end of the show, some of us were asked to come on stage and say some words. A Mexican-American actress who starred in one of the shorts talked about her experience being a Latina and how much it meant for her to play a character other than the narco girlfriend, which was the stereotypical role that she was offered again and again. Haruka and we talked about the film industry and stereotypes, and then at some point, she happened to mention the fact that back in LA, she used to work for Ridley Scott. Yes, Ridley Scott, the Ridley Scott. Have you seen Blade Runner, Alien, Gladiator? Yeah, that Ridley Scott. Anyway, we started our first improvised brainstorming session and decided we were gonna work in a project together.
Our first photo shoot was with a Taiwanese American actor named Dan Chen, who we found on Craigslist. Not even kidding. Our initial idea was to shoot portraits of the actors in their stereotypical roles only, along with a more environmental shot of the actor in their home, surrounded by props and wardrobe items that they've accumulated from going to audition after audition for the stereotypical role. Looks a little different from our final project, right? We really wanted to focus on the stereotypical roles and how discouraging it must have been to have to bring a stethoscope or a fake gun to yet another casting call for a role that you've played 1,000 times. We also wanted to shoot with actors in their homes to reiterate that this isn't a hobby. They have to make a living. More often than not, POC actors have no choice but to accept these roles to keep the lights on and food on the table. We went over to Dan's house in New Jersey on a snowy Saturday morning with a suitcase full of gear. Dan had a bunch of scrubs, a few stethoscopes, and even a fake ID pin for his stereotypical role, doctor. While we were shooting with Dan, we saw a military uniform in the corner of his living room. What's that? Oh, that's my uniform from when I was in the military. It would be pretty cool to play a sergeant one day. We were floored. Here we were, dressing up a former US military officer in a cheap doctor's coat and a clipboard. This can't be right. We immediately took out our pen and notebook and began asking Dan about all the ideal roles that he'd like to play. Sergeant, Captain America, Top Gun. We knew we were onto something.
We decided to photograph actors in their typecast roles, but also in their ideal roles, their dream roles. If you could play any role in the world, either fictional or real, who would you play? To find the actors, we used social media, but we also reached out to agencies and managers who specialize in multi-ethnic talent. We were looking for non-white actors who had been typecast on many occasions and who were willing to let these two photographers come into their homes and photograph them. We would talk before the photo shoot about the roles they had chosen and whether they had some clothes and props that we could use. If not, we would have to go shopping.
We knew that we wanted the stereotypical portraits to have a deadpan, doll-like effect. Why? Because we wanted people to see that these thug roles, terrorist roles, IT guy roles are tired tropes that these actors are sick of playing, and frankly, we're pretty tired of watching. These are roles that flatten people of color into monolithic stereotypes, and they reinforce the idea that people of color only exist as either victims, perpetrators, or supporting characters in an otherwise white-dominated world. We also wanted to emulate the mugshot setup, front face and side profile, to depict that these actors are trapped in their roles. So every time we visited an actor in their home, we asked them to look diagonally, face front, and a side shot, all with this vacant, deadpan expression on their face. If they were holding something, we asked them to bend their arms in a right angle and stick their fingers together, like doll hands. The actors were phenomenal. They took our cues immediately and gave us the most hilarious deadpan poses.
Once we had a decent number of portraits done, we were ready to start showing. We reached out to Laura Romanos from UPI. She immediately suggested the next step, an exhibition at Photoville LA, a photography festival in Los Angeles. That was perfect. We had only been shooting in the East Coast, and that was the perfect opportunity to continue the project in California, not far from Hollywood, the mecca of the film industry. We were able to show our work at the festival and to shoot some more actors. Those images were later exhibited at Photoville, New York, a few months after. Full circle. With all the incredible feedback and support, we decided it was time to show the work to a wider audience. We contacted a couple of media outlets, and next thing we know, our project was on the Washington Post magazine, both print and online.
Griselda and I both come from journalistic backgrounds, so many aspects of the project, staging shots, scouring thrift shops for the costumes and prop items, it was a big learning curve for us. But we both believed that this project had the capacity to challenge negative stereotypes in a way that the existing literature didn't. When our project was first published on the Washington Post, a user commented, "Why isn't this cultural appropriation?" Another commented, "Picture the hysteria that would ensue if a white actor played Frederick Douglass, but an Asian guy playing Captain America, or the entire production of Hamilton for that matter, is not characterized as cultural appropriation?" To which another user replied, "I believe it's not that an Asian man necessarily wants to play Captain America specifically, but there isn't such a role to strive for because the breadth of roles is limited. It's to the extent that white people are cast for minority roles in the phenomenon known as whitewashing." Another user commented, "We all have a self-image competing with our public image, so it's so great to experience the visual comparison, even if it's for an actor and their professional personas." And yet another user commented, "Now, someone needs to write a film for these people and utilize all of them in their dream roles. That would be fascinating." These spurred conversations are exactly what we live for, and what we had hoped for when we first started this project. We also want viewers to see the stereotypical typecast portraits and feel tension. We want you to feel the tension between the logical part of your brain, saying, "This is outdated imagery, this is oversimplified, this is wrong," and the more basic part of your brain, or your gut instinct, saying, "But I can totally see this person playing this role." This tension is our key takeaway for this project. We want people to realize that, hey, we're all complicit in engaging and indulging these stereotypes, all the way back to the 1830s. It's not just a top-down or this inevitable thing. We all have the power to challenge these stereotypes and reimagine a world where people of color, both on-screen and off, are able to see themselves as compelling protagonists.
One thing we want to share with you, or perhaps I should say we want to encourage you to do, is to experiment. Photography is a powerful tool and you can be as creative as you want to. Haruka and I are both documentary photographers or photojournalists. This means that we have to follow some rules when we photograph for media outlets. But with this project, we tried something new for us. We directed the shoot. We created the images together with the actors. We want to encourage you to try different approaches. Try documentary, try art, try something in between. Try still photography and try video. Try making a photo book, experiment. Work alone or work with other people, collaborate.
When Griselda and I decided to collaborate on this project, I was covering atomic bomb survivors in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and Griselda was covering immigration on the US-Mexico border. We met up in New York one night and said, wouldn't it be nice to work together on a project? Maybe a more satirical and lighthearted project right here at home? You see, photography can be a lonely pursuit. Most times, you're doing research by yourself, you're shooting by yourself, and you're pitching by yourself, with a lot of people shutting the door in your face. You have to have a strong conviction in your project and your purpose to be able to get anything published. And more often than not, it feels like you against the world. This was my first time collaborating with another photographer, and it's been a lot of fun bouncing ideas off of each other and seeing the project manifest in ways that I alone would have never thought of, from exhibits to magazine publications to educational workshops like this one. Griselda and I were both blessed to be good friends prior to this project, but we also had one more thing in common. We both understood the importance of collaboration. Not only the importance of collaborating with one another, but the importance of collaborating with the communities that we work with as much as possible. We owe much of our success to the conversations and boundless generosity and kindness of the actors who dedicated their time and stories with us. We hope you enjoyed our presentation.
Thank you for listening.